Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Peter Barber. I'm primarily a professional opera singer, music producer, and of course a bass vocalist. It's been a long time, but today we are back to check out Geoff Castellucci's latest cover of the bass anthem, The Sound of Silence. I think everyone has been waiting for him to cover this song for a long time. I know he's gotten tons and tons of requests. And I am a patron of Geoff Castellucci on Patreon, so I have early access to this release of Sound of Silence. This is his pre-screening video for it. So I'm gonna record my video now, and I will release the reaction and analysis after he drops his public release, of course. So guys, you know, my goal with these videos is to bring as much possible value to your listening experience. I want you to gain appreciation for Geoff and the immense talent that he is. And if I do bring value to your experience, if you feel like you're learning things and you're enjoying the music more and you're appreciating these artists more, please do consider joining my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. It's the best possible way to support me as a creator, artist, and educator. Other than that, guys, please do like this video, subscribe to the channel, go support Geoff if you don't already. And leave a comment for the algorithm. Could be as simple as saying, "Hi Peter," or "Geoff rules," or "Yay, Sound of Silence." Does not matter. Anything's good for the algorithm. And without further ado, let's break this down. I will be pausing to talk about vocal technique primarily. So if you want to watch the video straight through, I will leave a link to that in the description below as well. And then come on back if you want to learn more about how Geoff does what he does. Aside from that, let's go ahead and dive in. Let's see what Geoff does with this cover. In the little introduction to this video, he said that this is pretty different from what we've all probably heard from Sound of Silence covers. So I think Geoff is hyper creative, so I'm very interested to see what he does with this cover. And let's go ahead and dive in and check it out. E flat.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
So starting at obviously far lower than the original. So it starts on a C, then goes down to a B flat. Of course, very clean chest. And it's interesting, you know, for Sound of Silence, traditionally, you get that kind of like right from the get-go. But Geoff's intro has just chords here instead. And then you get the little motif kind of at the end of these chord progressions. I have to find my spot because it's not right at the beginning. But let's go back and then we'll talk a little bit about the vocal technique. See, just chords. You don't know what song it is. And then he comes in with that hyper recognized theme.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
See, it's just so easy. Like, I mean, he's likely recording these low parts with morning voice, but that C and that B flat is just so easy. There's no push whatsoever. You can tell he's just like very relaxed, open throat singing. You know, no extra pressure, no extra compression to get more power and resonance or more efficiency. It's just like his bass voice in its most natural state. And I think this is a great example of why I will die on this hill. Geoff is a low bass singer naturally who has developed an upper range and who can sing comfortably up in the baritone range, as opposed to a baritone with an absolute freakish bottom. He's adopting a very intimate style of singing here. There's a lot of breathiness, meaning there's not a lot of vocal fold closure. This, you know, gives the song a place to go vocally, of course. I talk about that a lot. And he's senza vibrato, so there's no vibrato coming in at all, even on the sustained pitch. He's keeping it completely straight toned.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Also, the rhythm, usually it's hello darkness. I think he has hello darkness, so straight eighth notes instead of a dotted eighth 16th motif.
Hello darkness, my old friend.
It's a little swung, but not quite as much as usual.
I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping left its seed while I was sleeping.
And as usual, Geoff opting for that very crazy smooth delivery, like crazy smooth, just phonation, going for that legatissimo vocal line. Not much consonant in there, not very crisp diction. This is a kind of a staple, at least where he usually starts his pieces, is just as soft and flowing and as little interruption to the vocal line as humanly possible.
Left its seed while I was sleeping.
Left its seed while I was sleeping. Instead of left its seeds while I was sleeping. Left its seeds while I was sleeping. It's just like, just like pouring air out.
Sleeping in the vision that was planted.
There's some crazy bass, though, definitely not coming from a piano. That's most certainly like a sub. Like an A flat. I think maybe just an A flat 1, but like very bass, huge bass response. Even in these very flat headphones, I could hear a lot of bass there.
In the vision that was planted in my brain.
Nice appoggiatura. In my brain. Da-dum. An appoggiatura is when the vocal line and the melody is it's clearly going to a certain note and you have a suspension right before that note. So planted in my brain is the melody line, but he goes planted in my brain. So the da-dum, it's that suspension before it resolves to the kind of note we expect. That's an appoggiatura.
And that was planted in my brain.
Short one.
Still remains within the sound of silence.
Really nice, relaxed B flat. Wait, I gotta snag my Vipers. Let's go hear that B flat again. I'll probably resist on giving him a B flat for that, giving him a B flat, giving him a Viper because it's so in his wheelhouse, but it is a gorgeous, super relaxed, super easy B flat, which I mentioned a lot. I really appreciate when he approaches his low notes that way. And he usually does that until he gets about to probably like A or lower. Often he will start putting a little more heft into the sound, like beef it up, make it even more bassy. But I love this super natural, relaxed approach.
Still remains within the sound of silence.
Yeah, some really interesting, like, also bass sound effects happening in addition to that low B flat.
Of silence.
There's like a happening. Like there's a really low sub right there. It's soft. Well, in these headphones, it's soft. Ooh, it's like that pitch, but probably like at least an octave lower, maybe more than 1 octave lower.
In restless dreams, I walked alone.
All right, so a little interlude on that we had from him. Nice SOVT, a semi-occluded vocal tract position. And then you can tell already he's adding a little more power into his voice as he starts this second verse, and you hear it right from this first low C.
In restless dreams, I walked alone. Streets of cobblestone.
So you can tell he's pulling a little bit away from that complete relaxation and actually actively increasing his vocal fold closure, increasing his resonance, and also, to make it more bassy, increasing the space in his pharynx to make it that warmer, darker, kind of extra bassy sound. If you just go back and compare his approaches to those two low notes, the C2 and the B flat 1, in the first verse compared to the second verse, you'll notice all of those physiological changes that are happening, resulting in a change of the timbre and the actual color of the sound.
Walked alone, narrow streets of cobblestone, neath the halo of a street lamp, I turned my collar to the cold and damp.
Cold and damp. So that's like an appoggiatura kind of coming from the underside. Cold and damp is how it normally is. Cold and damp. I really like that addition. Still here opting for a totally legato, breathy, super easy singing. He's definitely saving a lot for whatever comes next. Unless he just keeps it here. He said this version's very different. Maybe it doesn't have a huge climax in the fourth verse or whatever like we're used to. Neath the halo of a street lamp. See, it's almost like being a little drunk. Neath the halo of a street lamp, where everything's just a little more relaxed and free flowing. He's not like putting anything anywhere, which brain, mouth, it creates a much more relaxed, free sound.
Street lamp, I turned my collar to the cold and damp. When my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon lamp.
Okay, you remember in Ain't No Sunshine, there were those like kind of like dubsteppy moments. We were getting some like low subtronic. There's electronic sub bass happening here. It's very subtle, at least in my headphones, but it is like inherently like EDM vibe, like dark EDM vibe.
When my eyes were stabbed by the flash.
Like you hear that buzz on the end of that. That's like a sine wave sub with some like sawtooth wave like mixed in there from like an audio engineering perspective, so it gives it that like buzz sound.
When my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light.
Ooh, neon light. That's supposed to be a major chord, but he goes to a minor chord.
Of a neon light.
Cool.
The night and touch the sound of singing.
There it is again. It's like some. So in like Transformer movies where there's like big action and often big robotic stuff, have big machinery, dubstep producers actually often help with that kind of stuff and even produce tracks for the soundtrack because they're so good at that kind of gritty sound design. And there's certainly some of that going on here, like a very obviously simple version compared to like a Transformers film score, but there is some sound. This is something, I don't know, guys, you probably know this about me. Like I produced dubstep for a long time, still do. Like if you listen to my cover of Enemy, that's all produced by me. Hopefully making an EP in that style of music. But it's what I did for a while. It's what I wanted to do. So I mean, I love electronic music. I've been going to tons of dubstep electronic shows in Philadelphia the last few months and having a ball. It is totally a place where I find home and excitement and passion and thrill in music. So I love that Geoff is putting some of these elements into this song. I'm sure there are going to be a lot of Simon and Garfunkel purists that do not like it at all, but I stand by my boy here, both for my own personal bias and because he's doing something creative, and I always support the creative pursuit.
And touch the sound of singing.
Epic. Ooh, and that cascade. Dun, 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 dun. Super cool cascading piano line down that you don't hear in the original.
Of singing. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more.
Beautiful low B flat.
People talking without speaking. People hearing without listening.
Okay. So he's putting just a little bit more voice into the upper part of his range now, but also now for the first time in this cover we have vocal harmonies coming in, coinciding I think when that light showed up in the music video aspect of this production. So we got harmonies. We got another. Well, let's go back and hear that B flat again. That was real nice.
10,000 people,
Easy.
maybe more.
And vocal harmonies.
Talking without speaking. People.
Oh, he sustains that? Usually that chord goes, ooh, but I think he just sustains it, which causes some dissonance and suspension there.
Without speaking. People.
Oh, he changes chords late, a little bit late. So there is some suspension, then it resolves. In these background, he holds it a little bit longer, that first chord.
People talking without speaking. People hearing without listening.
I love a little added riff there. Again, a little spice to make it his own.
People hearing without listening.
So the highest note he's hit so far is an E flat 3. So we are staying very much towards the bottom here.
People writing songs that voices never shared. No one.
Again, supposed to go to the major, and he goes to minor. I really like that chord with his background harmonies there.
People writing songs.
So a change in both the melody and a change in the delivery of the text. And this normally goes.
People writing.
People writing so. What are the pitches?
Hearing without listening.
People writing
songs that voices never shared. No one dare disturb the sound of silence.
So down to B flat again, and again another pretty significant change from the original or any cover I've heard.
Never shared. No one dared.
No one dare. So that normally goes to minor. He goes to major again. A lot of minor major switches he has in this cover.
No one dare disturb the sound of silence.
Okay, now we got some percussion coming in. Okay, now we have percussion, we have strings as well coming in. Some like orchestral strikes. And that reverby, that super echoey snare-like sound.
Fools that I do not know. Silence like a cancer grows. Hear my words that I might teach you. Take my arms that I might reach you.
Oh, God. E flat 1. Okay, so this is a major change. So this bit, he's setting it up like he's going to go way up into his high belt range. What are the pitches there?
Fool said I do not know. Silence like a cancer grows.
Actually, it would only go up to a C4, which is well within Geoff's chest range. So it's interesting that he opts instead to just keep it completely in baritone and really bass register.
Cancer grows. Hear my words that I might teach you.
He could easily sing that.
Take my arms that I might reach you. But
I mean, really, really, like for my take, like E flat 1, cool. A flat 1 chest, cooler in my opinion. But a transition from one to the other, I think, is awesome.
Take my arms that I might reach you.
Fucking sweet, man. So sick. I can't sing that low in chest. I've had like 1 or 2 days in my life when I've had an A flat 1 chest. So I have to do a chest fry to chest fry or a chest fry to sub, but my subs are getting better, but not, I couldn't like reliably do it. Like a nice smooth transition like he does here.
Take my arms that I might reach you.
And that A flat 1, pretty easy. Like honestly, still very little of that heavy compression we sometimes get with Geoff when he's around that range. A flat 1, we get that like hyper bassy kind of product. There it sounds very easy. Like he just approaches it and it just comes out real nice, which probably helps for the transition down to the E flat 1. You figure if he's really forcing that A flat 1, subharmonics, you can't force it all. It has to be so relaxed in here. So if he was really forcing that note right before it would probably make the transition down to that subharmonic much more difficult.
Take my arms that I might reach you, but my words like silent raindrops fell, echoed in the waves of silence.
What just happened? I'm not gonna break all that down.
Take my arms that I might reach you, but my words.
That's the flat 6 of the one. What key are we in? I don't know what key we're in. So that's a B natural in our E flat major with some other interesting notes.
Words like silent.
So we have an A flat in there as well.
Words like silent raindrops fell.
Ooh, there was definitely a half step.
Raindrops fell.
Maybe some G A flat crunch happening there.
Raindrops fell, echoed in the waves of silence.
I'm on the fence. I think it's a bold strategy because it's just like harmonically and contextually not like, definitely not like the original, and in a way not really in line with what he's been doing in this cover either. You know, the most we've had so far is switches from major to minor. That was like a whole deal. So not sure I am with it on what he did, but I'm with it that he did something. And that's always the position I take. I'll always respect the creativity aspect of it, whether or not I think the end result was optimal.
Of silence.
So this is G, and this to me sounds like a lighter mechanism approach that doesn't sound like Geoff's up there in like full connected chest voice. It would sound more yelly. It'd be a thicker sound, I think, if he brought it up that high. I know he can sing that high in chest voice, but it just doesn't sound like he has opted for it in this context. Now, of course, now we're in the climax. We're getting a lot of drums. We're getting like more harmonies, more instrumentation, all that good stuff. And of course, the high belting that he kind of teased at earlier. We're like, oh, why did he go down? Well, now he's going up. Up to A flat 4. A flat 1 again. Chest. Wicked. I think it's great. We get so much contrast from the first few verses of this song to this verse. Right after that crazy creative bit. There's a lot happening in the background. Listen for those orchestra strikes. Listen to all the background vocal harmonies. Listen to the drum. The actual quality of the drum sounds are interesting. Harmonically, melodically, this is in line with the original, but there's just a lot happening. There's just like, and it all works. I think it all sounds great. I think he's opting for a more mixed approach to his singing. It does not sound like full on chest belting. Just as far as the quality goes, it just sounds like a lighter mechanism. It doesn't sound like the whole mass of the vocal fold is stretching to create that kind of yelly sound. But very well, nice and controlled up to A flat 4. Again, that chord normally minor in his version major. And very interesting, no pause. You know, usually you'd expect there'd be a pause after that big section, and then he would sing Of Silence, but instead it goes straight from all this craziness. Oh, that's a good screenshot. It goes straight from all the craziness and the madness with no break point and no real like transition out. Just kind of everything drops away and it goes, the instrumentation returns to just piano and vocal returns to solo. Oh, and we have percussion as well. A residue of the percussion. And a little bit of that zzz, buzz right there at the end. I want to give him a vipers for that A flat. Just a nice long sustained A flat 1 on an I wish that piano had continued to fade. It kind of cuts off a little bit right at the end. I could have listened to that fade for another few seconds. I think that was an awesome cover. I guarantee they're gonna be purists who are up in arms about some of the changes he made, but I think fortune favors the bold. Geoff is bold with his arrangements. I really enjoyed this. We got to, per usual, see Geoff showcase much of his vocal range. E flat 1, to A flat 4, I believe, unless there might have been a higher harmony somewhere in there. But as far as the solo line, so crazy range. Approach the vocals in Geoff fashion, very breathy and intimate, and always opting for a legato vocal line. That is really his style, as opposed to being very percussive and crisp with the text. He had a lot of slight changes in the melodies. He had his own riffs and harmonies added. He changed some of the chordal structures to the whole foundation, like switching a lot of those minors to majors, and perhaps vice versa in some spots as well. And he had that whole crazy section, which I wasn't even going to begin to try to figure out what was going on, but just radically, just like a total like side road from the original and even his version. And then we get a big climactic penultimate section where the drums are going crazy, the harmonies are going crazy. We get Geoff's upper range. We still get, you know, a ton of bass from him. We got these like very subtle like dubsteppy elements, which I think he had some of in Ain't No Sunshine. So I think really cool, really creative, really well done. Geoff's definitely one of my favorite people to analyze because there's so much to talk about, not just vocally, but just his musicianship and what he chooses to do with his arrangements. You're never going to get something straight up like what you've heard before. He always has his own spin on it, usually a major spin. So guys, if you enjoyed this, if you learned something new from this, if you have a greater appreciation for Geoff and his arrangements and his talent, definitely please do consider joining my Patreon for as little as $1 a month with 6 tiers, you know, going up and up in benefits. So if you join, it's not just money out of your pocket. You will be getting things in return from me. For $1 a month, you get access to my private Discord server. You get early access to all my videos. You get life updates. You get to participate in polls. And then if you go up just one more tier, you get, you know, live streams, and a tier up from that, you get merchandise. It's a good time. Definitely join. Oh, and you also get your name in the end screen of my videos and the rolling credits and stuff like that, all the way up to the higher tiers where there's some truly great benefits. Otherwise, guys, please like this video. Please subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment for the algorithm. Hit the bell. And hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you learned something. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.